Gonna go for two here. He's going for two. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Got it!
One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
It's just a heavy play. Go for two here. Go for two here. Got it!
One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Go for two here. Go for two here. Got it!
One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here. He's going for two. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Got it!
One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
It's just a heavy play. Go for two here. Go for two here. Got it!
One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Go for two here. Go for two here. Got it!
One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here. He's going for two. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Got it!
One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
It's just a heavy play. Go for two here. Go for two here. Got it!
One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Go for two here. Go for two here. Got it!
One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here. He's going for two. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Got it!
One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
It's just a heavy play. Go for two here. Go for two here. Got it!
One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Go for two here. Go for two here. Got it!
It says odd-shaped feet. All right, we
What
are
about
live.
feet? Is that your face,
Episode 105 after championship weekend, and things are looking a little bit different. They're going to look a little bit different on our screen. They're going to look a little bit different on the bar. We said goodbye to Joe Cools and Toboggan. We wish them well. They wish us well. They're open. They got a lot of stuff to focus on. So let's just move on from that and enjoy our Miller Lights today. And boys, how's the weekend going? How we feeling? Are we ready for Super Bowl Sunday?
Yeah, I had a great weekend, man. I got outdoors, got to do some things with the kids. Went on, hit the toboggan hill. I've done that since I was real young. I almost broke my neck, man. It was intense. We have to go out there. Maybe we'll bring that into the challenge somehow.
For the rest of the show, we'll call it a sledding hill.
A sledding hill, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then we had a great weekend of football, man. Like everybody that I talked to, again, people that don't normally watch football, got to watch two games and us get spoiled with them, right? That can the NFL ask for any more? They don't even have to ask for the refs to slant the games in certain ways right now.
Well, they tried hard.
They're going to win the Academy
They tried
Award
so.
for Best Raiders.
They tried so hard to get Patrick Mahomes to the Super Bowl. It was disgusting.
Oh, really? Okay, so I thought in the beginning half they're actually I don't know. Of course, we'll talk about it, but I feel like the refs were really kind of like giving it to the Bengals and like, here's the game, here's the game.
Man, on that first touchdown, I literally watched two blocks in the back, from like full blind, a lineman literally tackling a guy to the ground, and then they hit Kelsey in the end zone, and I was like, okay, I guess that's how it's going today.
Yeah,
And like to the
it was
point where like
blatant
when
enough for
Mahomes
us
threw the
to-
punch,
yeah, it was blatant for us both to text the group at the exact same time.
and then Mahomes even looked at the ref. I think he was actually more shocked there wasn't a flag because he didn't even celebrate right away.
Yeah,
Like he was looking for that laundry on the ground.
Mhm.
because it was that obvious. And then the T. Higgins play in the end zone where the guy was literally just holding his arm down. I was like, okay, that's 14 points. Luckily, Evan, what do they call him, Mac Money, or the hell they're calling him, or Money Mac down there in
Money back,
Cincinnati.
yeah.
Luckily, that guy just
Shooter-
doesn't miss
it's
kicks
Shooter
somehow.
McPherson. Shooter McPherson.
Yeah.
That's what I
He
like
can-
that one better.
Yeah, he can be called whatever he wants right now, because that guy could, outside of Joe Burrow, he might be the coolest guy in Cincinnati.
Well, and I mean, this isn't something that we're going to spend a lot of time talking about because I mean, we are actively against kicking. But if you look at the AFC North, 3 of the best kickers in football right now are all in the same division, and they all play in shitty weather. So that's just something to put in your mind. Think about it next year for fantasy draft time. 2022 is fucking wild right now, and I'm going to give you 2 things that I didn't think that we would hear anytime soon. The Team Canada soccer team is going to be in the World Cup, and the Cincinnati Bengals are in the Super Bowl. What the fuck is going on right now?
Yeah. Do the Simpsons predict any of these things? That's what I need to know, because they're never wrong.
Well, I
Yeah.
gave my what's the word? I'm like the premonition or whatever. When I was like thinking, I didn't know if the Canada had made it or not. I guess I was already just one step ahead of myself. But man, that's amazing. Like this is exciting, regardless of where. And you know what? We're gonna show up, right? Like our team is playing well. I don't know if you had the chance to actually watch the game or not, but like we've come
I
a
did,
long
yeah.
way in 8 years, man. It's crazy.
I watched most of it because the first half of that game stunk. So, I mean, until P. Ryan broke that touchdown, I was paying a little bit more attention to the soccer game than the football game. And, I apologize to you guys for that.
I literally, the only thing I know about Canada soccer was when I had like the PlayStation 1, I got FIFA, and I didn't realize that Canada sucked at soccer until I got that game. And like, I think out of 110 nations, we were like 108 or like 107. I was like, oh, so soccer's not our thing.
Yeah. And, like, I mean, we're not going to break off and talk a whole bunch of soccer right here, but I'm pretty sure they haven't made the World Cup since the early 80s. And Liam might know that better than I do, but I'm not 100%. I think it was 1980, like right on the nose, but doesn't really matter. I mean, that's pretty wild. Bengals haven't been in the Super Bowl since '89. We're going to obviously get into that game. But before we do, did Tom Brady retire? All right, so 86 was the last time Canada was in the World Cup. But did Tom Brady retire, Chad?
I want to say no. We have 1 year left on his contract. I know you and I've had numerous conversations about this privately. I actually think
Privately.
he is.
I like how you snuck that in there. Are you on his shoulder weeping when you have these conversations, Chad?
Yeah, dick in hand.
Yeah.
It's only uncomfortable if you make it uncomfortable, Kalen.
Yeah.
I think the writing's on the wall. We have too many free agents that came in for when we signed Brady, and there's no way we can afford them all. He is getting older, and if you actually watch as the season progressed, he was reading slower. The ball was coming out slower. And the one play I was talking to my one buddy about it today. I was like, I kind of thought it was over when I don't remember the exact game. It was like week 14 or 15. And he ran for a first down for 15 yards. And we were fighting for home field advantage. And I was like, this is a regular season game. I don't ever remember Tom Brady making that choice.
Right.
And getting up, popping up, and talking shit the second it was done. So right then it was like the big red flag where I'm like, oh, I think this is it. Because he's like putting his body like, hey, I don't care anymore. Whatever happens, happens. If there was more football to be played, it didn't really seem like a Tom Brady thing to do because everything he does is so calculated. And like risk and reward kind of thing. And going for a run and like he didn't slide. He dropped a shoulder into somebody to get a first down that they needed to win a game. He never did those things the last few years of his career because he never needed to. That was kind of the first sign that I noticed it. I honestly think that he is retiring, yes, and I'm pretty upset about it. I was going to make a reaction video about it, but then his team came out and said he wasn't retiring yet. And I don't want to look like a jackass like Jeff Darlington and Adam Schefter. I know I don't have anywhere near as many followers as them, but to like the 5 people that follow me, I don't want to be known as a liar. So I just
That
I'm
seems
gonna
fair.
wait till his party comes out and officially says it's over, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, I do think his time is over, and if not, I think it's definitely done in Tampa. And he owes
So
us nothing as football fans.
So he was on a podcast today, the Let's Go podcast. I don't know if you got the
That's his
opportunity to
spot.
listen to
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
no, I was at work.
So he made some comments today. So some comment, and this was a tweet like 6 minutes ago with by Schefter. We're in such an era of information, and people want to be in the front of the news often. I understand that. I understand that's the environment we're in. I just think for me, it's literally just day to day. So we had that one, and then when the time's right, I'll be ready to make the decision one way or the other. And then the final one but there's some other stuff in here too. But the big one was somebody asked him if Saturday's retirement report is going to motivate him to maybe want to come back after, hearing what people saying, hearing the congratulations or whatever, the naysayers, whatever may be. And he said, my motivation is to win games and to do well. So I don't like, you're right, Chad. I feel like he's not firing back anything that puts up a wall to me. That's like, there's still a good chance he comes back. And the OC leaving, that's huge. I mean, I don't know who is the OC now in Tampa.
Don't have one.
well, the thing is like Byron Leftwich hasn't left yet, and
Yeah, that's not even official either, which is why.
yeah. So basically, Leftwich said it's me with my own GM or nothing, and the Jaguars responded by continuing to interview people. So I mean, they are interviewing Doug Peterson today. They interviewed Rich Bisaccia. So I mean, that Byron Leftwich thing leaving, it was reported really quick, but it was definitely it's definitely fake news at this point.
And yeah, you do have a lot of people you got to pay, and it just doesn't seem to me like he's putting up that wall. It just seems like he's putting up a wall for us to have doubt, but not a wall of like, yeah, he can come back.
I think the big thing, losing 2 offensive linemen are going to hurt him. Those are 2 linemen that came in for him. Kappa being one, and Muppet was already there, but Muppet re-signed when Tom did. Leonard Fournette's going to leave and get paid. That's a given. Chris Godwin is probably going to be the highest paid receiver in the free agency. And I think Gronk's got. I think if
Devontae
Tom
Adams
comes back,
might.
oh yeah, I guess he's a free agent too. But yeah, fine, he'll be the next highest paid one. But I think Gronk comes back if Tom comes back. I don't see Gronk coming back if Tom doesn't. I think they want to go into the Hall of Fame together. I think that was Gronk's whole thing about coming back in the first place. He has many opportunities that he could do after football, and he made a lot of money, and supposedly he never blew it. So, and that guy's had more surgeries than anybody, so I don't see him coming back either.
And he's got a cushy job at Fox lined up, and I mean that number one broadcasting position at Fox is about to open up because Troy Aikman's a free agent. He's going to move on, and I mean Joe Buck and Rob Gronkowski would probably be a little bit of fun in the booth together, in my opinion. I mean that's us putting a round peg in a square hole, but like it's potentially something that's going to happen.
And I just don't think Tom has any interest to like keep playing right now. Like, he's 44 years old, turning 45. He could leave out and be an MVP. I don't see him being the guy that would ever not want to be the guy.
Yeah,
he works too hard to put himself in that position, and if his body's like, he knows if he's on that peak performance. And the things I've noticed are when Tom's on, Tom's on. But when Tom's off, it's really bad. And I don't think, at what point does the bad games become more of the good games? And do you want to go out like that?
Right, exactly. And, like we talked about it a little bit before we came on. And surprise, surprise, Shane and Chad kind of had the same wavelength. I think that Brady was downplaying all this because of the Roethlisberger news. He doesn't want to overshadow him, and he's not trying to steal Ben's moment because Ben's going to have a week or 2 weeks of moment, and Tom Brady's going to have the entire offseason.
I don't know if it's that, man. I think it's more about the fact that there's a Super Bowl around the corner, and you'd rather not be involved with the media hype with the Super Bowl. Put his nose in there. I didn't even come to the thought of I thought the Roethlisberger news is already done. Like,
it's that Tom Brady tweeted that morning, putting out like a thank you to him and saying, "You're a phenomenal competitor. I love playing against you. I wish you all the best." And then, literally within like 5 hours, Adam Schefter came out and reported that Tom Brady was retiring. I was like, that doesn't seem like a Tom Brady move.
No, yeah. I mean, Tom Brady won enough on the field. He doesn't need to win retirement too. Like that's just hog shit. Um,
As far as Gronk though, you actually think that there's like potential there? I look at that as another Booger McFarland opportunity. Like
Fuck
he's
that loser.
exactly that's what I mean. Like I think that Gronk is great for like some stories, and he might be initially like kind of like enthusiastic and fun, but it's Gronkowski. Like the guy, I don't know. It just to me, he's not like doesn't draw me into to listen to him talk about the game. You know?
I think him
they're
on
gonna
a
have to find
morning
somebody
show
that's
would
willing
be
to take
phenomenal.
$8 million.
Oh, I agree. I
Him
think
on a
like,
morning show would be great though. Like he'd be that great energy that they
like
need.
that Michael Strahan, yeah, or even just even doing like the halftime report, like with the other 5 people up there, like Nate Burleson and those guys. Like I think he's great in opportunity to that, but like giving him too much airtime, that would be horrible. Be pure booger.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't put him in the same category as Booger. But
Yeah, one's going to the Hall of Fame and the other one is known as Booger.
yeah, and I mean, we're not going to beat this down too much about contract talk between commentators, but Tony Romo's making $22 million a year. Troy Aikman was making $7 million, and he wants to get a raise to be higher paid than Tony Romo. I don't imagine Fox has that kind of bank behind them, so he moves on, and it would be a benefit to all of us if Troy Aikman went to Monday Night Football and maybe Joe Buck follows him, but we'll see how all that breaks down and how that goes. If we're talking about a guy that is leaving, I guess another New England connection. The Raiders just got a new GM and a new coach here, and this isn't something where Josh McDaniels can back out. He already had the press conference. That's already done. He is officially there. This is not going to be another indie situation. So Josh McDaniels with the Raiders. If you're a Raiders player right now, how do you feel about that?
I'm excited. But he's the AFC West. I don't know how well he did there last time.
And there wasn't
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert then.
That's right. Mind you, he's got a better team. He's got a really cool environment. He's got an owner that's willing to put money into whatever he's going to ask him to do. He's got an offense that, if Carr sticks around, can be a really fun offense to run with. The defense is just going to need a little bit of retooling. Too many losses there. But that being said, that's a fun opportunity for a defensive coordinator who maybe wants to reclaim that head coach position somewhere. Go there, and you're going to have free reign. Josh isn't going to ask you to do too much.
Brian Flores going to Vegas, be a DC for a year.
I don't see that happening at all. There's too many head coaching positions that are wide open. So, and I didn't even realize this because, there was so many positions that open and there's been so many reports here and there. But as we stand right here, we still have the Jaguars, the Vikings, the Saints, the Dolphins, and the Texans all heading into Super Bowl week without a coach. Now, that seems incredibly rare in the coaching searches that we've seen in the past. So any chance that you see or anywhere that you see a guy that's going to match well with one of these teams?
Well, I'm actually more thinking about where if Eric Bellamy's going to get a job because he can't play with a lead. And what happens...
He's not even going to get an interview.
And now they're saying the offensive coordinator from San Francisco, his name's getting thrown around. And he can't play with a lead. It's kind of the Kyle Shanahan curse by the sounds of it. All these... I always think it's funny, all these offensive masterminds, but yet you can't close out a game. It's like they're too smart for their own good almost, and they're too prideful to go against just playing normal strategic football. Like, you don't have to be the smartest guy in the room always to win. And I think we're starting to see that. Like, the Bengals made some legit adjustments in the second half. Eric Bellamy did it.
Yeah.
The 49ers have lost numerous games, important games when they were leading, and they couldn't get out of it.
Well, one thing that I can tell you with almost 100% certainty right now, I'll put a 98% on it, is Jim Harbaugh is taking one of these jobs. And the number one tipping point to me for that is he allowed his defensive coordinator go coach for his brother to just be a defensive coordinator. So going from Michigan to the Baltimore Ravens, I guess that's an NFL step up. You're probably going to get maybe a little bit of a boost in pay, but I think that Michigan University would have told out a little bit of money for him if the guy wanted to stay. I think that Harbaugh told him, "Hey, I'm out of here. My brother has a position open for you. Why don't you go take it?" And the guy jumped on it and took it. So that to me is a signal that the Wolverines are going to be looking for a new coach. And which one of these teams is most likely for Harbaugh?
Minnesota.
I think the
did,
only
yeah.
job on this paper that's even worthwhile taking is the Minnesota job.
You
Maybe
don't
the
like
Dolphins.
job? Yeah. They
And
have
it's like
pieces.
those are the only two jobs that I think I would even consider. But as like an offensive coach like Harbaugh is, can Tua run your system? That would be the big thing for that one. I'm very confident that Kirk Cousins can run Jim Harbaugh's system.
I would imagine
Um,
so.
but yeah, those like to me, there's only two. Like there's the Jaguars are in shambles outside of Trevor Lawrence, but you have no one around them. The Saints, you don't know who your quarterback is because Sean Payton left you handcuffed on that one.
Yeah.
And the Texans are the Texans, and I don't know like. You don't even know what's going on there. And
Yeah, you
they're
got a
so
little
far in the
Davis
hole.
Mills. Maybe if Harbaugh went to the Texans, they find a way to save Deshaun Watson, and like this was just like a red shirt year, and we move on. But I don't imagine that's actually going to be the case. But that'd be an interesting way to look at it. So
It's-
if go ahead.
I was gonna say going into Super Bowl weekend and having all these coaching positions that open. What that tells me is that there's somebody on this staff that everybody's after. Kevin O'Connell, we know that he's like a highly sought after assistant coach right now. I don't know, maybe at the Bengals, OC is maybe lining up for an opportunity here. I don't think so, but to me, like that's the only thing that these teams seem to be hinging on here is like get to the Super Bowl so we can finally get our hands on Kevin O'Connell, have a conversation with him. I mean, he did interview with like 3 of the teams that are available, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure who did, but I know that if I was Mike Brown and I was the owner of the Cincinnati Bengals, I would fire Zach Taylor and I would promote the defensive coordinator in a heartbeat. This is done. This is over. Doesn't matter. Joe Burrow, he's not gaining anything from having Zach Taylor as his coach, but you cannot afford to lose the guy that figured out a way to stifle that offense in the second half. And the players are the ones that have to execute, but I'll say whatever adjustment they made, and I was looking for it. I rewatched the game. I couldn't find the exact adjustment, so I'd be interested to see if Chad or if you guys broke down the tape or if you saw something that no one saw, but it just looked like if you can confuse Patrick Mahomes without blitzing, I think that was the way. I don't know, but I couldn't see exactly what was going on.
The guys that thought Trey, I don't know, is it Trey Henderson? Is that his name?
Yeah,
Henderson?
Yeah.
He took over in the second half. I don't know what they did to it. But I saw him getting a lot more like single teamed. I think they thought they could handle him. And the only thing I noticed was in the first half, they kept coming around to contain. But in the second half, they came up and they stopped and came back inside. And it was almost like the tackles for the Chiefs were so committed to pushing these guys outside. When they cut back underneath, they couldn't get their feet underneath them. And because if you watch even in the Cincinnati game, the Buffalo game, Patrick Mahomes stepped up into the pocket and he'd step between the guard and the tackle on every play. And then he would step up and then do that little rollout. Well, they didn't let that happen. Patrick Mahomes never like bootlegged out. He never like shot around. His whole thing was to step in the pocket and slide. And they took away those lanes. And it was like he didn't know what to do after that. And they stopped using Jerick McKinnon on the Chiefs side, and that kind of confused me because he was having a great game in the first half, and he had a great game last week.
Great playoffs.
Right.
Yeah, he's having phenomenal.
We're in this game, so let's start getting into this game, and if we have time, we'll get back to the Senior Bowl quarterbacks after because, there's 6 of them, and there's a couple guys that are pretty interesting. But Kansas City, Cincinnati, I'm going to ask you guys like what the biggest standout for you was. I'm going to say the fact that the O-line actually held up would be my biggest standout to that game. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Burrow didn't get sacked at all.
Do you think did he not have sacked? I think he had 1. I thought it was 4-1. Yeah, well,
they said today he didn't. So like, I'm not going to stand by my stat. I heard it on another show today that they said they didn't get sacked. So
going back to, and I need, of course, it's off season. I got to toot our team's horn a little bit here. I haven't been able to be in the playoffs, but during the regular season, we have been able to beat the Chiefs. And you're right. They only have to send 4. Figure out inventive ways to send 4 people and contain the pocket and drop everybody else into coverage, and that's how you beat the Chiefs. And that's exactly what the Bengals did yesterday. They had a spy, and if the spy looped, the other guy who was contained dropped back to the spy. There was some really unique defensive schemes that they were using yesterday. I don't know if they were communicating on the field and saying, rush and drop back now from my position, but there was a couple of times, specifically in the second quarter or second half, and it was like in their second drive that the Chiefs had, they did that. That's cool, man. I've not seen it. Not that I watch a lot of film, but like the way that they looped like that, it was almost looking like a stunt, but it was not a stunt off the hop.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a guy in Cincinnati that's going to make a lot of money, and I think that his name probably came up a little bit more in that game than the average fan would know, and that's Jesse Bates III. That guy's about to be an unrestricted free agent.
Is he? I thought he got paid.
No, Cincinnati can't afford to let him go though, and
Wow.
he's heading into free agency. They're gonna have to lock him down with whatever kind of deal they can get for him. That's not necessarily the guy you want to throw a franchise tag on based on the market that's out there, but there's a way that you can keep him in house.
With the $150 million they got, right?
T. Higgins.
They have a lot of money.
That's the guy.
They got a lot of money.
T. Higgins. We talked about it last week, and I said there's 2 guys that had big games. T. Higgins is one, or Tyler Boyd. It's had to be one of the 2 of them. I said Brandon Ayuk, and I said Brandon Ayuk in the San Francisco game, who also had a really good game. You were going to do whatever you could to take Chase out of the game. And they did. They put 2 on him, sometimes 3 over top on him. And it put 1-on-1 on T. Higgins. And he made Joe Burrow a couple first downs in that first half that shouldn't have been catchable balls. Joe Burrow kind of came out a little wild, a little hyped up. And on 2 occasions in the first quarter, T. Higgins made really good catches to continue drives. And one of them saved an interception because there was a lurking safety coming from in behind. And T. Higgins showed out, and they have such a talented roster there. And I think it showed, like, okay, you want to take Chase out, cool. But we have other guys that can do the same things. They lost their tight end, and I thought it was over then, actually, because he was staying home and chipping too. And I was like, fuck, I don't know if they're going to hold these guys off. But they adapted, and yeah, it's like T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd played phenomenal football games, and they did the things so that Chase didn't have to do everything.
And on third down in the third quarter, there was 2 plays. Both of them happened on third downs. I think that they were on sequential third downs. And Joe Burrow found a way to get outside the pocket. He did a quick high step to break what would have been a sack. And then he still found a way to get around the corner. And then he did it again. And at that point,
he became Joey Shiesty at that point, right, Shane?
Get this one on record, boys. I text the group. I have officially changed my opinion of him. He is as good as he thinks that he is. He's not as good as Kalen thinks he is, but he's as good as he thinks that he is. And this guy did something that only Peyton Manning has done against Tom Brady, which is come from behind an 18-point deficit in a championship game, which is crazy, and I'm sure that we all remember that game. But he's also got a chance to make history here because he'll be the first person to win the Heisman, win the national championship, be the first overall pick, and win the Super Bowl.
Pretty intense for a kid that
it's almost amazing that that's never happened before. I don't know how that's never happened before.
Well, because usually they go to a really bad team when you go at the first overall pick, right?
But still, like, to never win the Super Bowl?
Yeah. I mean,
I look at, if we look at this matchup, and, this might take some research by Liam or Josh or anybody that's paying attention or watching. When was the last time we had 2 first overall picks playing in the Super Bowl against each other? Can you guys think of that offhand?
No.
Well, consider the 2000s were only Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, and Tom Brady. It makes a couple. I'm pretty confident that it probably wasn't in the 2000s, unless it was one of the ones that Manning. Although Brady or Breeze was the second round pick, so that one's out. So yeah, I don't know.
It's almost amazing to think, like,
and I can promise you, Joe Flacco and Colin Kaepernick were not first overall picks.
Yeah, Brad Johnson wasn't a first overall pick.
Rich Gannon wasn't.
I don't know.
That was it. Kerry Collins and Trent Dilfer were, I can promise you, not even first round picks.
Gary Collins
Yeah.
wasn't a first round pick.
No.
I'm
Maybe.
talking about even just first overall picks. Like,
Actually, I'm sure. I thought he was a first round pick for the Giants.
He might have been, but he wasn't first overall. I'll tell you that
No,
much.
no, no.
yeah, no. I don't
But
know.
yeah,
man.
no, Joe Burrow's something special, man. And like his sound bites make him even cooler. And like the way he says it doesn't even come across as a cocky asshole. Like everybody loves him when he says it. When he made this joke with his diamonds like yesterday,
Yeah.
like anybody else, they'd be like, "Wow, this kid's a cocky asshole." Joe Burrow says it like, "I even like him more."
Yeah, and I'll tell you who I don't like, and we're going to get into this game in a second, but it's that goddamn asshole that plays running back for the Rams because he cost us all a lot of money, eh?
Yeah,
Just,
I don't want to talk about it.
talking
That
about,
the
like,
Royal Rumble cost me some dollars this week.
Yo, Cool Bet made some money off us this weekend, but yeah, go ahead, Kalen.
I like when Burrow, like, he plays into like the public perception. Like right after they drafted Jamar Chase, there was the joke, that the meme that went around where he was like, just fuck it, Jamar's down there somewhere, right? Just run around and just throw it up there somewhere. And they were talking about that, like going into the offseason, what's like with his connection with Chase. And he said, well, fuck it, just throw it down there. He's down there somewhere. I love how he plays into those things, man. That to me is hilarious. Shane, when they drafted Luck, man, I was staring down the barrel of 10 years of really tough football. Are you ready to say that this is probably going to be the toughest competition you're going to have in your division for the next decade?
Well, look, I hope it's the same outcome where he just randomly retires and then comes back 2 years later and looks like he's got a 3-letter disease.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Magic style or not magic style?
Yeah, it's magic. He's gonna do a magic show down in Vegas. Yeah, man. I don't know what to think. Look, the receivers are good. This is different than, everyone jumped on the Baker Mayfield bandwagon last year. 2-3 years ago, everyone jumped on the Lamar Jackson thing. King of the North. If Burrow wins the Super Bowl, given the fact that, well, even if he doesn't win the Super Bowl, Burrow right now is the best quarterback in the AFC North. And it's not even close. I think the second